Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law? As we read this passage, it's going to become clear the next couple of days that it's part of a much larger piece. But I wanted to spend some time looking at just this verse of a more familiar story to get a look at what's happening here, what the individual here is doing in questioning Jesus. There's a little bit of a sarcasm taking place in here. You see, Jesus is calling himself a rabbi. He's being recognized by his disciples as a rabbi or teacher, right? He is teaching disciples to be like him, to learn his way of faith and his life of faith. And so the Pharisee, who is one who knows the law of the Jewish faith, right, is a teacher, a leader in the Jewish community, and is one who is learned on what the Jewish laws are, and helps the community keep faithfulness to those laws. He's been part of this group that has heard that Jesus is teaching things that are maybe what we'd call unorthodox, right? And they're trying to figure out what Jesus is really doing. And I always tell people, be careful before we demonize the Pharisees, because they're really doing something that a lot of good is intended. They're trying to make sure that orthodoxy is being kept. And sometimes that gives us the most comfort, right? When we feel like the right things are being taught, the right things are being upheld, and they're trying to keep some rule in the midst of it, some order in the midst of it. And so he goes up to Jesus and says, "Teacher," right? He acknowledges the role that Jesus has taken on. "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment?" What is the greatest commandment? Now, is he talking about the 10 Commandments here? Is he talking about the more than 600 laws that we find in what we call the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible? What is he referring to here? Maybe he's referring to the 10 Commandments that Moses receives, or maybe he's referring to the greater breadth of the law. It's not real clear here. But either way, what he's doing is he's saying, "Teacher, I want you to tell me which of God's law is most important." You see, there doesn't seem like a good answer for Jesus to give here, because if he picks one, then the argument is, well, you've completely neglected to honor another. There's really no great way out of this for Jesus, at least at first. And we're going to take a look at what he says next tomorrow. But I wanted to begin with this idea that Jesus is facing this challenge of, do I acknowledge the status quo answer? Do I acknowledge and uphold the orthodoxy? Or do I push? Do I challenge this a bit? I love that Jesus is one who challenges. And spoiler alert, he challenges us a little bit. But in challenging it, what he reminds us is that God's laws are not about following them individually so that we might be more righteous than our neighbor. God's laws, God's commands, are meant to be taken as a whole, to be understood as a whole. And we'll explore that answer here in the next devotion. Amen.